Okay, today we'll be discussing about how to route and filter event using Heavy Forwarder. Okay, and the similar kind of concept we can apply for Universal Forwarder as well, but there are certain subtle distances which we will be discussing as well. Okay, now basically what we are trying to achieve it over here. So for that, let me open this diagram over here. So we have a heavy forwarder with this routing feature, okay, and it is basically monitoring a file. It says a normal file. Okay, now based on the data in that file, that means events in this file, this heavy forwarder is basically what it is doing. Some events it is forwarding to indexer 1 and other events it is forwarding to indexer 2. Okay, so as we know, heavy forwarder has the capability of seeing through the index as well, right? So that's why this kind of stuff is possible in heavy forwarder at the index level. But if we have a universal forwarder over here instead of a heavy forwarder, then in that case universal forwarder will not have the view of event level. In that case it may send or route the data based on source type or source. That level is possible. Okay, we'll see how those configurations work. Okay, so for that what we will do is, if you see it over here and if you remember from my previous videos, we created this heavy forwarder instance, right? And we also created this Splunk receiver instance initially, right? Now I also created another Splunk receiver instance called Splunk receiver 2, which will be acting as a second indexer. Okay, so our job is to, let's have some file we will monitor over here in heavy forwarder. Okay, so if I just show you at the server level, so this is our heavy forwarder server, and the server 82, that means our Splunk receiver 2, we will be forwarding some events with error. Okay, that means we will, in our file, whatever events are generating with error text in it, we will be forwarding to this server 82, that means receiver, and whatever okay, this will be a success one. Okay, and whatever events are generating with success message will be forwarding to this 54.3, that means our receiver 2. Okay, so for that what we'll do is, first we will log into our heavy forwarder. It may take some time, we will come back. Okay, so we logged in over here. First we will do sudo su. Okay, sudo. Okay, so we log in as a root. Let me clear the prompt. Okay, now first thing is we will create our input. Now for that what we will do is, we will have some kind of normal text file. Okay, let's say some text test.log, we will be putting it somewhere. Okay, and we will monitor that one, because if we understand for smaller stuff and easier stuff, right, it is very easy to understand the more complex stuff. So that means if we have some log file, let's say I will go to cd/opt/splunk, then we'll go to var log Splunk directory. Okay, so over here, if you remember, Splunk, all the Splunk generated log files are stored over here, right? So we will create our log file, our own log file. Now for that what we will do is, I will log into this heavy forwarder instance. Okay, so 224. So if I just copy the URL from here, this is our heavy forwarder URL, right? So I'll just log in. I'll log in there. I need some events, okay, with error term, and so I'll go to our underscore internal index. Okay, let's say error nothing. Let's search for all time. I just need one event. Let's say I'll copy this guy over here. Okay, so this is our error event. We'll save it somewhere, and we need a success event. So basically, if you are getting it, I am just taking two sample events which I will be continuously pushing to our test log file. Okay, so this is one of the success events. Now first we will create our test.log file. So we will go over here, we'll say vi test.log. okay, I'll just save it with no data now. Okay, escape. So if I just put ls over here, our test.log has been created. Right, we will be putting our events over there eventually. Now we will create the input first. Okay, in the Heavy Forwarder. For that we will go to settings, data inputs. You can create the input from the backend itself by editing the inputs.conf. So this is another way to do it. Basically, as we are monitoring a simple file, so we don't want to do it again and again. Okay, I think previously I had created, I just delete it and show you again. Okay, new local file and directory. Okay, so we will be selecting our test.log over here. For that we need to go to etc /opt/splunk, right? So opt splunk var log splunk, then our test.log, right? So we'll be selecting that one. We'll continuously monitor that. We'll click on next. Now source type, we'll be saving it as a source type. We'll save as source type as test. So this is important. Okay, so we'll remember the source type name. Yes, then we'll be clicking on next. Let it be in search app. It will store our default index. Okay, that's fine. Review, submit. So our input has been created now. So if we just wanted to check it out, you can go to cd /opt/splunk etc apps search app, because we saved in search app, right? And the local folder. So there is a inputs.conf, vi inputs.conf. Just now we created for our test.log over here. Okay, so currently the test.log do not have any data. We did not push anything over there. Okay, so that's fine. Now our input is ready. So let us first construct our outputs.conf and the configurations related to TCP routing. Okay, then we will eventually push some data to our test.log, some of the error events, some of the success events, and see how it working. Okay, so for that what we'll do is, first we'll create our outputs.conf. Now for Heavy Forwarder, we'll be creating our outputs.conf in system local folder itself. You can maintain your outputs.conf in any app as well. So that is fine. So just for simplicity purpose, I am maintaining in system local. Okay, etc system local folder will go. Okay, I think there is a outputs.conf previously created when we have our Heavy Forwarder installed, right, in my previous video. So outputs.conf, yes. So what we'll do is we'll delete this file. Now this time, if you remember from my Heavy Forwarder video, we created this outputs.conf using a Splunk CLI command, right? So now what we'll do is we will create this outputs.conf by directly editing this outputs.conf file. Okay, so for that what we'll do is we'll copy this guy over here. Some of the configurations name we need, so we'll give it over here, save it over here. Okay, so now we'll come out here, we'll completely remove the outputs.conf Okay, now we will create our new fresh outputs.conf. Outputs.conf. Okay, so now let us understand, then we will update this particular file. So as you remember from my previous video, for a outputs.conf, specifically the TCP output, okay, we need 3 stanzas. Among these 3 stanzas, this is the global stanza, right, TCP out, and which is optional as well. Okay, so that means if you do not give this default group as well, you can still create TCP out and group stanza. Splunk will automatically consider this guy as a group. Okay, so for our purpose, what we'll do is we will remove this guy. Okay, so we have 2 groups now, right? One is error group, another is success group, because we have our 2 indexer now, right? So we will name this group as error group. Okay, now error group, so if I just go to this our server, so error receiver is 82, that means this is our server external IP. I'll copy that. I think it is already there, 82, and it is listening on 9997, right? Now I'll remove this one as well. Now if you remember, this particular things is required when we want to have some kind of server specific configurations, right? So we do not need that as well. We'll copy this whole guy again. We'll now create another group called success group. So I'll just change this name over here, success group. Now if I just again go to our server list, so this is the server which will be receiving our success events, right? So we will copy this IP address. Always remember, you have to copy the external IP, not the internal IP. Okay, so we have our 2 groups basically. Okay, each group having a single indexer. Okay, and we will see now how to route to group. So this is our outputs.conf. So we'll come back over here, we will paste this information here. Okay, so this is our outputs.conf. We'll save it. Okay, so our outputs.conf is ready. Now for TCP routing, you need 2 things. One is a props.conf file, another is a transform.conf file. Okay, so that is very, very important. In the props.conf file, you are basically saying for this source and source type, apply this transform. If you are not sure about props.conf and transform.conf, how it works, I have created a few videos on that. Please check out that. I'll be giving those videos link as well in this particular video. Okay, so and in the transform.conf, you are basically having the configurations which will do the TCP routing. Okay, so first we will create the props.conf, then we'll go and create the transform.conf. Okay, so for that we'll again come back to our notepad. Okay, so if you remember, just now we created our input right over here, and while creating the input we have given the source type as test over here, right? And in our props.conf file, when we create a stanza, right, you can, if you just give the name directly, that is always points to a source type, right? So if you want to do something else, then there is a separate syntax for it, right? For suppose if you want to set it for source and host, there is separate syntax for it, right? So as we will be monitoring a single file and we have set the source type for that input as test, so I'll be giving test over here. Okay, now to create a transform.conf entry over here, that means a transform.conf stanza over here, this is how you do it, right? ANSFORMS transforms, then a name, class name basically. So I have discussed all these things over there as well in my video. Okay, then we'll be giving 2 transform name over here. One is error routing, okay, another is success routing. And if you remember from that video, if you give, you can give more than one transform.conf stanza name here, right? So they will be applicable one by one. So for all the events, first this transform will be applicable, then this transforms will be applicable. So I will copy this. So this will be our simplest props.conf file. So I'll go over here, I'll say vi props.conf, insert, okay, I'll save this file. So our props.conf is also ready. Now the most important part is the transform.conf. Okay, so for that again we'll go to our notepad, we'll create another window over here. So now what will be the stanza name in our transform.conf? It will be the same as what we have defined in our props.conf, right? So there will be two stanza in our transform.conf called error routing and success routing over here, right? So this is the one. Now the three important configurations in transform.conf which basically tells Splunk to route the data. First thing is a regex. Okay, so this regex is basically telling Splunk look for the events which match this particular regex, okay, and then do something. So that means this regex is important over here. Now here the distinguishable factor between a heavy forwarder and a universal forwarder. Now when we use heavy forwarder has the event level access, right? So that means you can provide any regex over here. Okay, now when you use the universal forwarder, okay, so in that case universal forwarder do not have access to the event level. That means if you provide some regex over here, it's not going to work over there. In that case you need to give a dot, simple. Okay, that means universal forwarder will always go by the settings what you mentioned in the props.conf. okay, that means this props.conf level setting is enough for universal forwarder to route the data. Okay, so as we are using heavy forwarder over here, so we will be giving a regex over here. For error event, we will be just simply looking for the string called error in the event. For success event, we will simply looking for the string called success in the event. That's all. Okay, so I would suggest you try that this particular same settings with universal forwarder and see whether it is working or not for you. Okay, so in that case you have to remember you have to give a dot over here instead of error and success. Okay, now the most important key is the destination key. Here you will be mentioning underscore TCP underscore routing. So this is as is you have to mention. Now where it will route basically, so for that this is the key is important format. Okay, so this here you can give the group name we set up in outputs.conf. So if I just see our outputs.conf, we set up two groups over here, right? One is the error group and another is the success group. So we'll copy this error group over here and give it over here for error routing, and for similarly for success group the same configurations will go, except thus this group name will be our success group. Correct? So this is our transform.conf, simplistic. Okay, so we will copy this, we will come over here, we will come out of this, we will create a new file called transforms.conf. okay, transforms.conf. We'll keep the same data over here. Okay, escape shift ZZ. So that means our transform.conf file is also ready. So that means if we have done everything correctly, ideally whatever data in test.log we will be pushing, accordingly it should route the data to the corresponding servers. Okay, so now as we have changes manually to these configurations files, we need a Splunk restart. If you remember from my previous video, we changed it through CLI commands, so that's why it may not be needed, but this time it has to be done. So we will, for that we'll go to our Splunk home directory and bin directory, cd /opt/splunk bin, okay, /splunk Splunk restart. Okay, so while it is restarting, let us check it out our two receivers, how they are doing. So we will first log into our error receiver. So our second tab is in error receiver, admin, monitor. Okay, so now we will go to our settings, forwarding and receiving. Okay, we'll just check whether the receiving is enabled or not. So we already have the receiving created, but it currently is enabled. I actually disabled it. Okay, so I will just enable it. Okay, so it do not get disabled automatically. Now similarly for success, we'll do the same stuff. We'll go to settings, forwarding and receiving, configure receiving. So you already have a receiving port. I'll just enable it. Okay, now this is our 224 is our heavy forwarder, right? So I'll just log in over there. Okay, again this guy will be doing the forwarding part, so I'll go to forwarding and receiving. Okay, so configure forwarding. If you see it over here, currently it is reading from its outputs.conf. That's why these two things are created automatically, our two hosts, right, where we will be sending the data. We will also check in our receivers, because we will be sending data to main index, whether is there any previously data or not. We will start from fresh. Okay, I think it is there. We'll just delete it, so that at least we can check it out whether it is fine or not. Okay, so currently we do not have any data in our main index. And remember, if you run the delete command, it does not delete the data from the index, it just hide it. So if you need to do the index cleanup, so there are certain other commands as well. Maybe I'll be creating a separate video for that. Okay, so it is not there. Okay, fine. So our main index is cleaned up now. So our outputs are ready, our transform.confs are ready, our props.confs are also ready, right? So now what we'll do is we will go to our heavy forwarder. We will go to that test.log /upt/ Splunk. You know what, I'll just clear the console. We'll go to cd /upt/Splunk, then we'll go to for log Splunk, correct? So here we have our test.log file, right? We'll go inside that log file. So currently it do not have anything. Okay, so you will push some data manually. Okay, so ideally in your scenario, your log files will be automatically updated by some of the apps, right? So as we will not go to that complexity, we'll just manually push some data. Let's say first we'll push a error data. Now remember this date, it's 20, not today's date, so we may need to search in our index accordingly. So we will push that data, and if I just save it, as our heavy forwarder is continuously monitoring this test.log, right, and it's a error event, right? If I just see it, it's a error event because there is a string called error inside my event, right? So that means it should route the data to our error receiver, that means 82, right? So let us see. So this is our 82 server, right? So if I just go to main, if you see, the heavy forwarder already routed the data to our 82. Now also we need to check it is not routing to our 54.3, right? So for all time I run Okay, it is also routing over here. That means something is wrong over here in my heavy forwarder level. So let us check it out. We'll go to our heavy forwarder outputs.conf, Splunk etc system local, right, vi outputs.conf. So this is fine. We only have group over here. Let's see the transforms.conf. Everything is correct or not. So for each and every error routing, that means the props.conf transform settings, we are doing the regex. Okay, so this is the issue. If I just go to insert mode, the key name is dest._key, okay, not desy_key, destination key. Okay, so this, I did some kind of spelling mistake over here, which I always do. Okay, so destination_key. Okay, hopefully this is going to work. So as we have changed it again, so I have to restart the Splunk once, /Splunk restart. Okay, while it is restarting, we'll also delete this event because this is not how it's supposed to work. Okay, we'll start from fresh again. And also we will do one thing. Okay, let it be admin. Okay, so now we'll go back to our log file. /opt Splunk for log Splunk, right? So vi test.log. Now we have a single error event. Let us see whether it has sent anything over here. Otherwise we will, I think it's once it sends, it do not send again. So what we'll do is we will go back here. We'll go to insert mode. Okay, we will push another error event. Let's say I'll copy the error event here, this guy. Let's see. Escape. Now we pushed another error event over here. So ideally our error server, that means 82, should be receiving that, right? So if I just, so it is receiving that, and 54.3 should not be receiving that. So it is not receiving that, if you see this time. So that means that error event has been routed to only this guy over here. Okay, not this guy over here, according to the configurations. Now let us push a success event over there. So I'll just copy this guy. Okay, I will go over here. I'll go inside again the test.log. I'll go to insert mode. I will push the success event now. Okay, now let us see how it's going. So ideally our 54.3 should receive that event now. If you see, it's already received that event. Now this guy should not receive at all that particular success event. It is not receiving it. Okay, so this is how the routing works. That means based on the event, it will route the data to corresponding indexers. Okay, so now can you do this exercise where instead of heavy forwarder, you have a universal forwarder and you want to achieve the similar stuff. In that case, maybe you need to have the two separate files, because you will be applying your transformations on the source type or host, right? You cannot apply the transformation at the event level, right? So maybe to separate source type data, you want to index to two separate indexes. Okay, and if you remember, as I told before, in the transform.conf, whenever you are using a universal forwarder, that means you cannot use the event level details. The regex has to be a dot, but regex, this particular configuration has to be there in the transform.conf for TCP routing purpose. Okay, so try that one. Otherwise, I'll create a separate video for that. Okay, see you in next video.